Hi, everyone. I'm Sania Farooqui, and I'm thrilled to kickstart a new season of the Sania Farooqui Show in partnership with Doria Feminist Fund, the first feminist fund in the MENA region. It's an activist-driven fund that supports feminist movement building, knowledge production, and collective learning in the Middle East and North Africa. It is founded by feminist activist Mohsen Hassan. Its core feminist principles are that of solidarity, collaboration, diversity, and community engagement. Cultural sensitivities and taboos surrounding sexuality are particularly pronounced in the MENA region. It has taken women activists, and even medical professionals years to break the culture of silence that surrounds sexual and reproductive health, as silence often prevents people from seeking information and care and prevents governments from putting the issues on their development agenda. To discuss this in more detail today on the Sania Farooqui Show, we have with us Dr. Selma Hajri, who was recently awarded the Doria Award for her work as a medical professional. She's an MD specializing in endocrinology and reproductive health. Dr. Hajri is a project manager of a regional network, Right and Access of Women to Safe Abortion, RAWSA, in the MENA region, where she's currently working on building a platform for the right to safe abortion and is also a member of the advisory committee of the International Campaign for Women's Right to Safe Abortion, ICWRSA. Dr. Hajri has over 25 years of clinical and research experience in hormonal contraception and medical abortion. Dr. Hajri, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the Sania Farooqui Show today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy and very honored to be part of this show and to have been awarded by Doria for this work. Thank you.
Yes, many congratulations on that. It's quite an achievement. And to talk more about, why you were given the award, it obviously has to do with the fantastic work that you've been doing. So tell us a little about it. And when it comes to reproductive health in the MENA region, what is the current status? Are women able to get access to healthcare? Are they still facing taboos and bans? How easy or difficult is it for women to, even discuss reproductive health openly in many countries across MENA?
Well, MENA region is a very conservative region where religion and culture are really very restrictive concerning women access to reproductive health, because they are very conservative and they are restricting sexual relationship for women that are not married, especially when not married. But even for married women, it's not usual to talk about it or to try to change anything from the cultural context. Though this is the most important thing. What is special for me is that I'm coming from a country from North Africa, but where laws are really more liberal concerning women's rights. So we have not been used to such a conservative context. We are facing this conservative context after the revolution with the introduction of Islamism in the country. And at that time, it means more than 10 years ago, I realized that it was really something that is happening in all the region, not only for us. So I started to think that it is important to fight against this situation. We realized that the current status of women in the region is very difficult, not because of access to health, because almost a big part of this region are a country where there are access to health. It's not Africa. It's not the poorest country of the world. Some of them are even the richest countries of the world. But the problem is access to reproductive health. The problem is more related to the right of women to control their body. And here is the question. When there is a control of the body, the women have not access to health.
Yeah, that was my second question for you. But which countries, according to you, need to overcome a few of these issues you mentioned? And when it comes to healthcare or access to even just contraceptives or access to right to abortion, why is it that it's still such a big deal? Shouldn't it be the woman who decides what she wants to do with her body? Why is that agency taken from her?
I think, in my opinion, is that almost all the countries of the region, of MENA region, North Africa and Middle East, are have laws that come from the. They are not only related to the religious context. They are also related to laws that have been introduced by the colonialists during the colonial period. These laws are conservative, as was the laws at that time in Europe.
Yeah.
But they have been considered as quite convenient for the new governments in the region. And this is the question: why in the Middle East and North Africa the laws have not changed after the independencies? They have been kept exactly the same after more than 50 years. This is the question. It is because we have still very conservative political background, and also a very conservative social background. So the young people now are, with the social media development and with the access to knowledge through the internet, there is a conflict between what is, what is shown in the social media and what is the real life of these young people. And I think it's now time to change the attitudes of the government. So it's now the time to advocate to change the laws that restrict access to reproductive health to women in the region.
Yeah. And
especially abortion.
Especially abortion. What is the role of state and religion when it comes to enabling these regressive laws that prevent women from, as you said, safe abortion or even basic healthcare issues which are related to women's health? How is the state involved, and how is it enabling it? Is it using religion as a tool, or is it just being comfortable using the laws, as you said, that was set and established, at God knows how many years ago?
It's not so, homogeneous. All the countries have not the same situation. When you look to a country like Morocco, there are now, since 5 or 6 years, since I think 2015, there are several attempts from the civil society to try to influence the governments and the parliaments to change the law. And there are, the problem is that there are conflicts between the evolution of the society and the governments, who are more, how can I say it? They take into account the conservative parts of the society. They don't really take into account the modern part of the society. And this imbalance is different from one country to another. Some of the countries like Morocco or like Lebanon try to change things, but it's not easy because the society is still very conservative, in the major part of it. They are not trying to force the conservative path. They are trying to discuss and to make, how in French we say, compromises. So it's very difficult to change the law when you make compromises with the conservative parts of the governments or the society. This is the situation in the Arab world, in the Middle East, and in North Africa. The conservatives still have the control of the politics in the country. So even if there are liberalizing, a progressive and a liberal part of this society, they don't have any influence till now on the political conservative parts that have the control of the government's decision.
From your own experience over the years of working on reproductive health, and as you said, it's a controversial, it's a difficult topic in the MENA region due to either religion or due to the laws that are present. What are the challenges that women face? How can they be improved? And also, given that we are living amidst a pandemic where access to healthcare is already a big challenge, we've seen hospitals collapsing, we've seen hospitals not being able to manage across the world, not just in MENA, but while we are also surviving a pandemic, how does it make it even more difficult for women to have access to healthcare, especially reproductive or right to abortions at this time?
Okay. The challenges are really very, I mean, there are several challenges. First, it's the very slowness of the governments. I mean, the politics doesn't want to change anything. They don't feel any need to give more rights to the women. They don't consider that there is no convictions from the politics that women have to be equal to men in their society. It's something really very deeply in the mind of the politics in this region, because they are in majority men, they are not women. Very few women are on the political level. So this is a problem. It's a governments of men. It's not, there is now very few women in these governments. And they don't think that it's very important that women have more rights. They think that women have to be at home, that women have to be under the responsibility of the man, whatever is the man, the father, the brother, or the husband. And the women have no voices, not really. There is something that makes them very mute, and it's the taboo of the sexuality. This is my opinion, but I don't think I'm the only one who thinks this. Everybody knows that the taboo of sexuality in this region is so strong that it makes women silent. They cannot, there is a shame talking about. I don't know if you have seen this small book, which is a nice one, that calls about the Hashuma. It's a Moroccan young girl who wrote this book. So it's always a shame to talk about sex in our region. And as it is a shame, the woman cannot really have a loud voice talking about their control of their body, the right to have sexuality, the right to have a sexual relationship without having kids. And this is the biggest problem in our region. I think this is the problem. The absence of equality between men and women, the absence of women in the highest level of the governments, and the fact that still it's a shame to talk about sex.
Yeah. And given the pandemic, my second part of the question, how difficult has it become now?
It was difficult in all the countries. I mean, reproductive sexual health was considered as one of the less important aspects of health in the world. And it was more visible in regions like ours, where women's health are still not considered as a priority. So I can say that in Tunisia, and we made studies at that time during the first and second wave of the COVID, we have seen that the first services that were completely closed were the services of family planning. They were just closed. So no service, because they consider that it's not the most important thing. But we have seen women dying from pregnancies, which is something completely incredible, because we haven't seen, I mean, it was something not acceptable to see women dying because they are just pregnant without any other pathology. We have seen women with pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies, young women, especially young women, that had been obliged to keep these pregnancies because nobody wanted to make abortion. Yeah. It was considered like something, I mean, not serious. We cannot talk about an abortion when people are dying from COVID. This imbalance was completely absurd. I mean, not acceptable.
They're still dying, but yeah,
they're still dying. They're still dying even with unsafe abortion. So they forget this. So this happened during the two first waves of COVID, the two first part of the pandemic. Then there have been changes in the attitudes of the providers, of the health authorities, and then the reproductive health access was returned to normal, as it was before, not better than before. Yeah. Of course, still it is not a priority in almost all the region. Still, reproductive health. When you go to the aspect of contraception and abortion, especially abortion, which is almost illegal in all the region, it's not considered like a priority in the region.
But are you seeing a change in the attitude from the women themselves? Do you think they are being more assertive about having access to these rights? Is there a change in how they want to be treated, that they want to assert about having open conversations about sexuality, about sex, about abortion, which in a lot of Islamic countries, in a lot of even non-Islamic countries, even here in India, it's a big taboo to say the word sex out loud, or say, having an abortion is seen as something culturally horrible if a woman does that, because she's a bad woman, she's a bad mother, there are lots of tokens and a lot of stigma and stereotypes that are thrown at women. But are women changing? Are women fighting back? Are you seeing a change in the region?
I don't know if we can speak about a change in the region. I think it's a change coming from outside the region that is influencing the region, and especially the young generation, not the oldest one. When you talk with people that are more than 40 years, they are really, they don't feel well advocating or making any loud voice about sexuality or reproductive health or abortion. We found now we see that when you go to the social media, you see that in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitters, etc. You see that there are a lot of young people talking about this subject. And communicate between each other. But it's still, I think it's the first step that is very important, that is starting now, a movement of asking for the rights to be free of the control, able to control their body. And there is a movement of having a voice to talk about sex. But it is still limited to one generation, which is the young generation. It's not yet politicized. It's not yet really, it's not yet in the social, in the association or in the social organization, civil society. It's not really audible. There is not, they don't talk about, even if they do it, even if they do try to help women to have a better quality of reproductive health services, try to help women to have safe abortion, even if it is clandestine, they don't talk about it. So it's a step that have to be
so but Yeah, it's an improvement, because the future ahead will be far more safer if more women and more youngsters are aware of what they have right to. They are more aware of what their bodies can take and not take, and what they can tolerate or not tolerate. So on that note, we have run out of time, but thank you so much, and congratulations again on your award. It was absolutely wonderful that we were able to have this conversation and that you were able to come on the Sania Farooqui show.
Thank you very much for inviting me and giving this chance to talk about this very sensitive subject. Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely. And it's all the work that you do that makes such stories and reports even more important. And I hope that people are able to watch and learn something new. So thank you again. And for those of you who've tuned in, thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. Do remember, these episodes are brought to you in partnership with Doria Feminist Fund, where we will be speaking to extraordinary women and bringing you their voices and stories from the MENA region. I hope you'll continue watching. Do stay tuned, and I will see you soon.